The summer in 1960 began like any other. Sunbeams glided across the roofs of brick houses, a tram passed somewhere in the distance, children played in the street. I stood on the porch and simply breathed in this city. But then I didn't know that this day would change everything. There are mornings that seem ordinary, but then, years later, you realize they are the beginning of something incredible. A surprise awaited me in the garage. My parents were smiling, my mother was slightly nervous, and my father looked as if he held the whole world in his hands. Under an old tarpaulin stood a blue and white Harley, my first motorcycle. I froze, my heart beating faster, my breath catching in my throat. I knew that this was not just metal and wheels, it was a promise of freedom that I held in my hands. I roll it out onto the street, start the engine, and hear the heart of the machine come to life. The rumbling of the engine mixes with my own heartbeat. The first lap around the block, the wind ruffling my jacket and hair, and the city around me seems to reveal its secrets to me. I felt that the world had become bigger than I thought, and I became part of that world. The Delaware waterfront seemed endless. The Benjamin Franklin Bridge on the horizon, the sun reflecting off the water, and every turn of the steering wheel bringing new sensations. The wind blew in my face, my jacket fluttered, and I realized this was my first real taste of freedom. Here, among the rivers and bridges, I felt like I could go anywhere and be anyone. My friends met me at the corner. Their eyes burned with interest and envy at the same time. Some touched the handlebars, some laughed, and some just looked silently and understood. Now this motorcycle is part of my life. I felt special, but at the same time I was grateful to everyone who shared this moment with me. I spent every Sunday in the garage. I changed the oil, polished the tank, and tuned the carburetor. The radio played old hits, and I smiled to myself, immersed in this little world. The motorcycle wasn't just a piece of machinery, it was a part of me, and taking care of it taught me patience, attention, and love for detail. I decided to take my first real trip out of town. The road stretched beyond the horizon, fields and hills merging into a single line with the golden sunset. Every turn of the steering wheel opened up a new world. The wind whispered its stories in my ear, and I understood. Ahead of me lay infinity, which could only be traversed on two wheels. The snack bar on the corner was where we used to meet. The neon light reflected off the motorcycle, and the laughter of friends echoed down the street. They discussed the engine, touched the handlebars, and jokingly expressed their envy. And I sat in the middle, smiling and thinking, this is real life, right here and now. These moments became memories that'll warm me for many years to come. But technology is technology. The motorcycle suddenly stalled on the road. I leaned it against the side of the road, took a deep breath, and started to fix it. That moment taught me patience, responsibility, and respect for the things that matter. Even simple repairs have their own magic. You become part of what you love. Soon Mary appeared. She laughed when the wind blew her hair up, held me by the waist, and for the first time, I realized that a motorcycle is not only freedom, but also closeness. Every ride with her became a little adventure, our first shared memory that I wanted to keep forever. On an August evening, I sat on the embankment, watching the sunset and listening to the sound of the water. The wind gently ruffled my hair, and my motorcycle stood nearby, as faithful as ever. For the first time, I felt how quickly time flies, and I realized that these days would stay with me forever. By the end of summer, new responsibilities began to take up the time I have for adventures. I drove my motorcycle into the garage and stopped to look at it one last time. My youth was fading away, but the memories and freedom it had given me remained. Every scratch, every squeak of the engine, these were my lessons, my joys, and my victories. Years passed. I grew up. Many things changed. But one day, I returned to the old garage. There it stood, the blue and white Harley, covered in dust, but still familiar. And at that moment, I realized that the wind of youth never disappears. It lives on in memories, in the hot and in the things that make us free. Every time I hear the roar of a motorcycle or feel the wind on my face, I am transported back to those days. I see the streets of Philly, hear the laughter of my friends, and remember every ride. It's not just a motorcycle, it's part of my history, my development, my youthful spirit. And now, looking at my son standing next to the same motorcycle, I understand. The blue and white Harley conveys freedom, dreams, and the spirit of youth. The wind never disappears. It lives on in us, and those who believe in their dreams, who are ready to rush toward life with an open heart. The blue and white Harley wasn't just a motorcycle. For me, it became a keeper of memories, a witness to my growing up, and a silent witness to all the moments that couldn't be recorded or photographed. When my parents gave it to me in those distant days, I didn't immediately understand how much my life would change. They didn't just give me a piece of equipment, they gave me trust and the opportunity to discover my own world. Every Sunday in the garage, when I changed the oil, cleaned the carburetor, and lubricated the chain, I felt respect for things, for work, for time. These simple actions taught me responsibility and attentiveness. They turned an ordinary motorcycle into a true companion with whom I shared joys and experiences. It witnessed my first victories and defeats, my first trips out of town, the laughter of friends at the diner, and sunsets by the Delaware River. It felt the wind on my face as I embraced freedom and quietly kept all the secrets I entrusted only to it. With each passing year, it became a part of me, and I became a part of its history. The motorcycle was not just a machine. It was a friend who never tired of listening and keeping secrets. It saw me grow up, saw my dreams grow, and then saw how life around me changed. Friends scattered around the world, streets changed, houses were renovated, but I still returned to it, and it was still ready for new journeys. And now, years later, when I reopen the old garage, dust covers the metal, but the blue and white Harley still shines in the soft light of the lamp. It holds stories to tell us how important it is to appreciate gifts, respect technology, and take care of what is dear to you. And every creak and every roar of the engine, there's an echo of past years, the laughter of friends, the first trips, and the wind that ruffled my hair. This motorcycle reminds us that life is not only about big events, but also about small moments of care, respect, and love for what we hold in our hands. It is these moments that make us who we are and turn ordinary things into keepers of secrets and stories that we carry in our hearts forever.